Ilhan Omar should be in jail, or she should be booted right back over there to Somalia, out of the words of your very own president, Donald J. Trump. Breaking news just coming in that President Donald Trump just asserted in a Sunday night Truth Social post that Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota should either be locked up in jail or sent back to Somalia. There is $19 billion in Minnesota Somalian fraud. Fake Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, a constant complainer who hates the United States of America, knows everything there is to know. She should be in jail, or even a worse punishment, sent back to Somalia, which, by the way, is considered one of the absolute worst countries in the world. I think it would be most fitting that Ilhan Omar goes back to Somalia and starts working on making Somalia great again. But again, Mr. President, I'm going to ask you, when are the indictments going to be made? Tim Walz is walking around free. That corrupt, incompetent, disgusting Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis is walking around free. Ilhan Omar hasn't been indicted. She's walking around free. ICE agitators busting open into a church while families are there praying with their women and their children are continuing to walk around free. Not that I don't respect you, Mr. President, but that would be my wish list. And of course, you can add onto that list freeing the children of Iran. But based on this article that I just read with Donald Trump coming to Truth Social, it's not if, Ilhan Omar, it's when you are going to be indicted.
Ilhan Omar under investigation after racking up millions while she was in Congress. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has it. What's up, Kevin?
Good to see you, my friend. What's the old saying? Follow the money? Well, that's precisely what the House Oversight Committee is doing. They are probing squad member Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion, Somali social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The oversight chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business practices. Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband, Tim Minette, went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure forms. Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. And he's a money guy. Minette and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its books. Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it. Now, for her part, the Congresswoman has repeatedly, and I say defiantly, denied any wrongdoing while being also careful to criticize the ongoing probe. But, sometimes they say, Jesse, the ones who yell the loudest have the most to hide.
Well, innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure everything was perfectly legal. We're just checking to find out. Kevin, good to see you.
Who married her husband married her brother. Her brother became her husband. When she has to check a book, she says, any brothers? One. Any husband? One. She checks 2 people. So on top of everything else, she gets a double income tax cut. She's a stone cold crook, and everybody knows it. And the papers, they have one paper out in particular. The guy made a living writing about her, and I spoke to him. He said, but nobody does anything about it, sir. All you have to do is get his writings from the Indianapolis Star or whatever paper he works for. You don't even have to do anything. This guy spent 10 years investigating that crook, and you got to do something about it, or our people are going to get they're already upset. Takes too long. So, JD, you go do it, and Russell, you better do it.
More definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. And I talked to Stephen Miller about this actually recently. We're trying to look at what the remedies are That's the thing that we're trying to figure out is what are the legal remedies now that we know that she's committed immigration fraud? How do you go after her? How do you investigate her? How do you actually do the thing? How do you build the case necessary to get some justice for the American people? There's a related issue, Benny, which is she has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community. So do I know that Ilhan Omar was aware that the Quality Leering Center was defrauding the American people? I'm not certain of it, but we at least need to investigate it, because if people can commit wrongdoing without even the fear that they're going to be found out, that's a fundamental problem. So I'm worried about the immigration fraud. I'm also worried about what did Ilhan Omar know about what was happening in the Somali community, and why was nobody looking into it until, frankly, Donald Trump came along?
No warning, no build-up, just straight controversy. What happens when one of the most talked about politicians in America gets pulled back into the spotlight again? Donald Trump is reigniting serious accusations against Ilhan Omar, claims that have circulated for years but are now making headlines all over again. At the same time, a massive fraud investigation tied to public funds is gaining attention, and political tensions are rising very fast. Supporters say this is accountability, critics say it's distraction, but one thing is clear: the story is far from over. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're new here, do let us know where you're watching us from. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you never miss a video. Video credit goes to the original creators for every video used in this episode. Let's get into the video. I'll be right back with more commentaries.
Omar married a man by the name of Ahmed Elmi back in 2009. He's a British citizen who attended North Dakota State University, and he studied the fine arts, but very little is actually known about him. They ended up divorcing, and then when she had a child with her new husband, there were apparently Instagram posts from Elmi, her first husband, calling Ilhan Omar's newborn daughter his niece, implying that he was Omar's brother. And it was a weird marriage. It appeared to be a marriage of convenience and obviously didn't last long. But the problem is that thus far, there's no definitive proof that Elmi is Omar's brother. In other words, we do have a marriage certificate for sure. They were married, but there's no birth certificate. There's no immigration record. There's no definitive legal document that is thus far surfaced proving Elmi is Omar's brother. And of course, the legacy media isn't even the least bit curious on it. A few weeks back, Benny Johnson claimed he received information from high-level contacts at the Department of Homeland Security, indicating that they have clear evidence Elmi is Omar's brother, but he has yet to produce those docs. Regardless, it was a very strange marriage with a lot of unanswered questions, and that's precisely what President Trump is politically exploiting. But he's going to be kicking out every single third world migrant who's living off of the American taxpayer and who's not making a positive contribution to the national welfare of our country. And this is where Ilhan Omar comes in. This is precisely why Trump is focusing so much of his attention and his energy on Omar and her particular Minneapolis district.
That's crazy. And Ilhan Omar, I hope this is part of it, but she married her brother, supposedly. I mean, there's a lot of documentation. That means she's here illegally and she's a congresswoman. And I hope you're going to be looking at that, or somebody is, all right? Because she's one of the ringleaders here. She's bad news, really bad news. She's so bad for our country. Anyway, JD, please say a few words.
Encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the F-1 visas, and many other discrepancies. Over the course of the operation, our officers found indication of fraud, non-compliance, or public safety and national security concerns in nearly a little less than 50% of the cases interviewed.
Now, you heard them mention marriage fraud. I don't know if you guys know, but she married her brother in some type of weird scheme. But that raises the question, can she actually be deported? Take a listen to the ICE director answer that question.
Yeah, this is going to sound like a clever question, but he said He said marriage fraud was one of the first things that he mentioned, which I've heard is rampant in the Somali community. Is anybody immune from that? If there was a congresswoman or somebody that's very important that had committed that, are they immune from this?
No, Rob, nobody's immune from it. We have to look at every case, case by case. And if fraudulent means were gained or used to gain a benefit, then we have to take all our due diligence. We have to look at it criminally, administratively, and we have to take action on all those cases. No one's immune.
I could see this Somali problem getting really bad if these people aren't deported. I mean, they're in high-ranking positions. They're funneling money back over there. They're admitting to doing it in a different language in the press. I mean, how bad can this really get?
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
In 2024, Ilhan's married to a new person, a white guy named Tim. There's Tim Minette. And Tim is not a rich man, but now he is.
So what's really going on here? Are these claims political strategy or something deeper that deserves scrutiny? With investigations ongoing and voices on both sides getting louder, this situation is only heating up. Stay informed, question everything, and watch how this unfolds, because in today's political climate, the truth is often buried beneath the noise. If you value conversations that go deeper than headlines, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on your notifications so you never miss future discussions. This channel exists because of you, and conversations like this matter because you engage. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay compassionate, and most importantly, stay active in the dialogue. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.